Both Russia and Ukraine are racing to make gains in each other's territory. Just how are they going all in? Is Ukraine doubling down, dropping airstrikes, while Russia continues to throw men into the meat grinder? I'm Paul, U.S. Army combat veteran. Let's talk about this pretty crazy situation. Okay, first off, when we take a look here, so Deep State Map is not covering anything about the Ukrainian advances. You could see they've literally removed they are covering very limitedly the Ukrainian advances, opting for a very, very conservative perspective. You can see as we move forward here, right, they were late to acknowledge that Ukrainian forces were pushing into Kursk at all. Now you can see here, there's a huge swath that's listed as contested. Likely the contested regions probably more accurately reflect the actual control, right? We've seen, for example, in Snagost, some substantive evidence that Ukrainian forces are occupying the town. But here's where things get more interesting, right? Is when you look over here at Russian forces. Russian forces, instead of reinforcing their troops in Kursk, appear to be focused on continuing their offensive actions near Toretsk and Pokrovsk, right? And as you can see, as we work back in time, you can see that Russian forces are focusing on almost creeping daily advances in both areas of the front, right? You can see as we move through time, you're seeing very gradual sort of creeps along this area, right? With Russian forces reportedly seizing Orlivka and even purportedly Zuravka. Now, here's where things get, to me, the most interesting, right? Let's take things back to the start of the Ukrainian advance. So right here, you've got, again, nothing, 0 kilometers seized. But now we look at we'll do the apex of Ukraine's seizure, and you're looking at its deepest point. We're going to say it's about 20 kilometers from the border, right? Maybe 19 if you use the closest border point, right? So the furthest advance Ukrainians have gotten from the border, about 18 kilometers, right? But now let's back it up to the start of this advance, right? And now we see what Russia was doing in about the same time frame. You can see they were at their farthest point at Vesele or Zalhane. And as you can see, in the same time period, they've made some gains, no doubt about it, but you could see this Russian gradual strategy here where you're looking at maybe 5 kilometers, maybe as little as 2 if you're using some of this Zelhine. And again, in Zelhine, you're looking at, again, really small numbers here, 4 kilometers. So you can see that the pace is clearly night and day. And while both sides are making advances, again, we're looking at Russia advancing like 1 kilometer a day, whereas you've got Ukraine who's advancing 20 plus. Now, when you look over here, you can see things are actually, Live UA has an even more robust Ukrainian control perspective. You can see here, Ukrainian military filmed in the village of Vezenapone. Oh my God, I thought Ukrainian names were hard. Russian is so much more incomprehensible. But the key takeaway here is, again, there's a lot more depth to this than is initially acknowledged, right? Suja, Ulanak, Borky, you could see even Ukrainian forces pushing towards Giri. Now, there's some rumors that Russian forces are starting to stabilize the situation. But again, it's really hard to know even what the situation truly is. And when we look at this, you can see here that you're looking, again, at multiple points. Ukraine appears to have penetrated 20 plus kilometers into Ukrainian turf. Now, if you use that sort of 20 kilometer benchmark, you could see that for Russia, from its furthest point, this is where it's at today, to get 20 kilometers in, you would have to go back probably about 2 months. You got to go back to Berdichi. So 20 kilometers represents essentially the entirety of Russian advances over several months, right? You can see as we work backwards to achieve that 20 kilometer advance, right? We back further and further and further, back behind Ulchadatina. I mean, we're looking at months that Russia had to protect. We're into June. Let's take it back actually to April 1st. Where are we at? April 1st. Can it even tell us? No. Let's see. Come on. Give me some April 1st. This day? No, that's today. Come on, guys. You're killing me here. I just want to see old April 1st. All right. It's not going to happen. Oh, there we go. Okay. Those are what? The gains they made April 1st? There we go. We're here. Yes. So in fact, this is everything that Russia has done since basically April. Okay? So that's what's crazy to me is that for Russia, this represents about 20 kilometers, represents 6 months of high casualty fighting. Whereas for Ukraine, this has been done in 9 days. Now, the Ukrainian strategy is fundamentally different. And if you want to see exactly how, I can't show combat footage here on YouTube. And you know, because I cover war content, I can't really show. I don't have a lot of sponsors, right? Sponsors really are not into war content. No shocker there. But of course, if you want to support the channel, support me, the best way to do it is going to be on combatvetnews.com. This is where twice a week I get the viral combat footage fresh from the front lines, and we look at the tactics, the units, everything, totally uncensored. And it's the best way to support the channel, right? So specialist tier is going to get you access to those uncensored combat footage videos and analysis. Lieutenant tier will get you that, plus the weekly Q&A, which is dropping today. And the colonel tier gets you all that, plus the by name shoutouts at the end of videos. So if you're interested, check us out, combatvetnews.com. The link is in the description. A huge thank you to everybody that is going to be, that supports us and is going to check out the video that drops today. Videos, plural. We're doing the Q&A and more uncensored combat footage from Kursk, right? So how is Ukraine driving into this region? Well, first off, it's trying to hit Russia where it hurts, targeting Russian air bases. A major drone attack has actually taken out a number of Russian air bases across Kursk. And this is a huge drone attack, right? We know that while you say, oh, well, Russian air bases are hit pretty routinely, and it's true. They are. But there are key differences, right? Because this is launched from a point so close to Ukraine, the scale appears to be significant, right? So you can see that 3 different Russian air bases in the Kursk, Belgorod, and Vorozhne oblasts have all been hit. These are likely air bases that were supporting combat operations. And remember, closer an air base is, the faster those missions can turn around, right? So if you are, especially for like attack helicopters, right, rotary wing aircraft, those can really be brought back into the fight very quickly if you have a nearby air base. So for Ukrainian troops, this is probably a source of tremendous relief given the commitment of Russia to launching even its glide bomb attacks, again, from these kind of nearby air bases. So not only that, but purportedly, Ukraine has sent 2 more brigades into Kursk, right? The Ukrainian air assault brigades. But remember, these are mostly nominal. These brigades aren't conducting air assault operations. They're mostly just... for now, they're basically like symbolic, right? Because nobody's doing air assault missions. But their 82nd and 95th are in, right? 95th Tactical Assault Brigade photographed on their way to the battle zone. And Russian forces confirmed the 82nd Air Assault Brigade when footage of them conducting an ambush leaked, of the Russians ambushing the 82nd. But this means that 6 frontline brigades and 2 independent battalions, possibly close to 15,000 troops, are currently fighting in Kursk. And of course, you guys know that this is still around a 400 square mile salient, possibly more, and represents probably one of the most important territorial seizures of the conflict, right? Again, as we've talked about, as even Putin has acknowledged, this is for Ukraine about having a prize that is too valuable for Russia to give up, right? So they want to not just take this territory, but seize it, hold it against continued Russian assaults, because it would be so embarrassing for Russia to have to yield even some of its sovereign territory to Ukraine as part of some kind of peace negotiation, right? And remember, it is a really bad look. I don't know how else to tell you. For Putin to have less Russia than when he started this war. He cannot end the war like that. So for Ukraine, even a small, relatively small, especially in the grand scheme of all of Russia, relatively small territory is still going to carry a lot of significance in terms of his ability to sell this war or to sell a negotiated agreement to the Russian public and the Kremlin oligarchs. Anyway, guys, that's all I had. Please subscribe to the channel. You guys know that when you subscribe, it's free, but it helps tell the YouTube algorithm that what I make, the content I make, is of good quality. It's legit. People want to watch it, and I'm not some pro-Russian shill. So, thank you guys so much, especially Bill Collier, Robin Colburn, Gyrus Marning, Eugenia Cuesta, Chris Gorshitz, Fran Zacharias, and AR90. You Colonel Tier members really do carry. You're the kings of combatvetnews.com. I don't know what else to tell you. And a huge thank you to all our Lieutenant Tier members. And I'll see you guys over on Combat Vet News later today. Cheers.